Hey guys, I'm Mallory Dunphy and I am joined by Josh Delaria. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. My dog's moving my curtain again.
Oh boy.
um, so I'm so excited for tonight. Welcome to the Hangout. We are the Live the Movie crew. Our leader, Eric Sachetta, was unable to join us tonight, but that's okay because we're still excited to run the call and go over chapter 4 of this book, The Five Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle. So if you're joining us for the first time over the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've all read together the book, The Five Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle by Jim Rohn. And we've basically gone through a chapter or two every single week and discussed different ideas and ways to implement. It seems like there's a ghost behind me.
No.
Different ways to implement the topics and the ideas that Jim Rohn goes over. And what I love about these meetings is that we kind of get to touch base every week and see where we're at and just throw ideas back and forth. And it's a great way to just hold each other accountable. So um, I love the Live the Movie crew. We have been doing these types of meetings. This is actually the first month that we've started doing these types of meetings where we're going to go over a book. About every single month, we're going to go over a new book just to go over the ideas from the books and different ways to improve on different areas of our life. So, like I said, if you're joining us for the first time, check out the other videos about the other chapters of the five major pieces of the life puzzle and join us. We'd love to have you on our team and join us on these calls, and the more the merrier for sure. So I want to dive right into the fourth chapter. It's called Results. I have quite a few little fun tabs to go over tonight, so I'm super excited to touch on some of these points. And I just want to remind you, we've gone over, this is the fourth major life piece to the life puzzle. We've gone over philosophy, which is in the beginning. Um, and what's really important, I think, is to not just, watch all these videos or, attend all these calls every single week and just kind of forget about the things we learn. I think it's really important to go back and rewatch and reread and just kind of dive more into the different topics that we discuss, because it's not, a change doesn't really happen overnight. And when I say overnight, a change doesn't even really happen in the matter of a month when you're talking about, big life goal that you have. So it's so important to go back and really um, learn and digest and implement the things that Jim Rohn goes over and what we've talked about all these weeks leading up to now. So the first one, philosophy, is where it all begins. And if we don't have that philosophy down packed, we're not going to really get any results that we want to get. So it's all about mindset in the beginning, and where you start with your mindset and your beliefs about yourself and your thoughts is so important and can affect where we are now with the results that we get. So it all starts with mindset. The second piece of the life puzzle was attitude. And again, you can go rewatch the hangouts that we've done so far. Um, Attitude, affects so much of how we feel about the things that we do to accomplish our goals. So based on that, if you go into something with the wrong attitude, you may not get the result you want because you don't do the right action because of how you feel about the action. So it's all definitely, they all build on each other. So it starts with the philosophy, it goes to attitude, which goes to activity. So taking action is the most important thing. And sometimes you do have to take the wrong action, which is what we talked about last week, is you just got to get out there and do stuff and fail quickly so that you know how to, the action steps to take to actually achieve the goal that you desire. So activity is important. And now we are on results. So one of the big things, the first page of the chapter, I highlighted a quote, which I kind of just said, but in Jim Rohn's words, results are always in direct proportion to effort. So the action you take will always lead to your result. And if you think about it that way, it almost seems too easy to hit your goals in a way, because if all you had to do is take action to get the result you want, all you had to do is take that action. The thing is, though, it's really easy to take action. A lot of actions are really simple, but it's also easy not to take action and to neglect to make the changes that you want to make in your life. So I think if you really want to achieve something, you want to list out a plan of action steps, because the effort that you put in will directly correlate with the results that you achieve. I think he touches on how to measure your different results, and I think measuring your results is important for you to see what changes you need to make, what different action steps you need to make, but also just to see your progress. And the best example I can come up with is with like weight loss, because if you say, you know, I'm gonna work out to become fit, and you don't really have a set goal in mind. Let's say you have a goal weight that you want to get to, or maybe it's a size of dress that you want. Well, not for you, Josh. You don't want to fit into a dress, but a size of clothing that you want to fit into, and that's your measurement. That's how you're going to measure it. So if, like, say for example, you want to lose a certain amount of pounds to hit your goal weight, and we lost Josh. Oh no, he might come back. I would say the best way to feel good about the results you're getting, or to make changes in the action steps that you're taking, is to measure along the way, and touch base with yourself and say, okay, it's been a month, how much weight have I lost? Or it's been a week, how much weight have I lost? Or how many inches have I lost? Or what size clothes do I fit into? There he is. Are you back, Josh? He's trying. It's a good sign. But one of the things that Jim Rohn goes over, he says the first way to measure our results is by looking at what we have. So in that example that I just gave about weight loss, it's okay, what do I have? Have I lost this amount of weight yet? So that's an example. But basically, you know, materialistic things can be a great way to measure our goals too, and the results that we get. So the homes that we have, the cars, the amount of money we have in our bank account, all of those tangible things are a good measuring tool to the results that you want to get, especially when you set a goal for yourself. Another way to measure results is to take a really close look at who you've become as a person. And I just got a text from Josh. He said my internet crashed. I'll be hopping back on in a minute. So that's what happened. He didn't leave because he didn't like the topic, or that I said that he was going to wear a dress. So who we become in the process of hitting our goals is a great way to measure. So if you think about what you can accomplish today, and what you're capable of today versus where you were a month ago, or where you were 6 months ago, or even a year ago, sometimes it's astonishing to take a step back and say, I could never imagine myself being where I am today and being the person that I am today. And that's all based on the action steps that you took over time. So it's a great idea to measure along the way the results that you get based on the goal that you have. This is a great law of attraction section that he goes over, and I love the law of attraction. I think to a lot of times, to get what we want, we just have to become the person that attracts that thing into our lives. So we attract what we have by the person we've become. So if you want a lot of money, this is a great example. If you want a lot of money in your life and in your bank account, you have to find a way to add enough value to other people to attract that amount of money into your bank account. So, and he talks about adding value or being valuable a little bit later, which I'll touch on even more later. But success, this is a great quote by Jim Rohn, success must be attracted and not pursued. Hey, Josh. I got your text. I shared with everybody why you jumped off. It wasn't because... Did you hear me say anything about the dress? Like, if you want to fit into a certain size dress? I was like, oh, well, Josh probably wouldn't want to wear a dress, but I was talking about weight loss.
Okay.
But anyway, right now I'm just talking about the law of attraction and stuff like that. So I'll stop after a little bit to see if you have anything to add so far.
Okay.
But success must be attracted and not pursued. So personal value is the magnet that attracts all good things into our lives. The greater our value, the greater our reward. So you might be listening to this and watching this and thinking to yourself, well, I don't know how much value I can really add. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Or you might even be thinking, I can't add value. I don't know what I have to give. And if that's the case, then you're in the right place, because the way to add value to other people is to learn and add value to yourself first. So you always want to start with yourself. And You wouldn't try to teach a calculus class until you've learned calculus yourself. It wouldn't make any sense. So in order to add value to someone's life in any area, first you have to add that value to yourself and become that person that, is quote unquote an expert in that field before you're able to give advice or give any type of success tips to people who are also pursuing that same thing that you're trying to accomplish. It's the acquisition of more value that we must pursue, not more valuables. So we got to always be pursuing the acquisition of adding more value to our personal value scale, I guess you could call it, so that we're able to give value to other people. The next point that I jumped to is the first step for getting better results. And I love that he gives steps. I'll stop here, though. I don't know. I skipped over a couple of points, Josh. I don't know if you have anything to add about what I've gone over so far, about the law of attraction, or the amount of effort that you put in is what is an indirect proportion to the results that you get.
Okay. I obviously didn't hear most of most of the first parts that you did. Um, but one of the things that I have underlined in here is that we don't have to wait until we're wealthy or powerful to experience happiness. And it just makes me think a lot, because I know in the next chapter too, I know we haven't gotten there yet, but in the next chapter too, Jim Rohn does go more into about how um, essentially you don't really need to be rich to enjoy certain parts of life. And it kind of does strike me and just say, it doesn't really matter how much you have or how much you think you're worth. Like you can always do something for someone, and that can help you. Obviously, that always helps increase your value, and then it helps you feel better about yourself too. So you feel more confident in yourself and everything like that. So,
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the money and happiness because a lot of people, I mean, you probably heard the phrase money doesn't buy happiness, and people will contradict that and say, well, yeah, but it buys me a boat and that would make me happy or something like that. Um, but I think,
yeah.
being happy with who you are as a person is so important, and set aside any materialistic thing that you have, whether it be a house or a lot of money or a car or a boat or anything. Set that aside. If you take that all away, it's good to think about, okay, what would what would make me happy if I didn't have any of these things, and to really focus on that, because if you are happy without those things, then you're going to show gratitude for things in your life that you already have, regardless of whether, how big or small they are. So I think it's so important to set aside those materialistic things like money and a house and things like that, and say, okay, I have a choice to be happy today. It doesn't matter what I have in my life right now. And yeah, things come up that can affect our emotions, like a passing of a family member or something like that. But even in that situation, you can look at it as a devastation, which it is in a lot of cases. But you can also look at it as a celebration of the life that that person had and the effects that they had on you as a person if you were really close with them. And you can use it as a way to just really reflect on the good things and kind of celebrate the life that they had, instead of affecting you in a negative way. And a lot of times, the grieving process is different for everybody, and it can take some time to get over something like that. But if you step back, I won't go that deep again, I promise. But if you step back and you kind of look at
You
what
hear
you already have in your life, and just appreciate everything that you already have, and decide that you can be happy no matter what. Happiness is definitely a decision. So that's a great perspective that you have about that, Josh. So moving on to uh, actually, I'm going to skip back to, because I didn't highlight this part, but I just spotted it in the book, the value of new skills. So I just was talking about how in order to add value to other people, you first must add value to yourself by what you learn and the new skills that you gain. And he wrote about the skills, life and labor get easier when knowledge is combined with new skills. Skill is the refinement of our current abilities added to the acquisition of new talents. So by learning new skills, you're able to apply that to your life today. And the more skills we learn, the bigger our capacity grows, and the bigger our capacity grows, the more we can achieve and the bigger goals we can set. And we really can achieve anything that we want to in life if we put our mind to it first. And then we set, we get the right attitude about it. We set out and do the right action steps, or at least some action steps to get us going in the right direction. We get the results we want. And then it ends up being the lifestyle that we want, which is the next chapter, which I won't touch on until next week. But the first step to getting better results is how dramatically we can change our results is largely a function of the imagination. So we talked about visualization a little bit before, and the question is not whether the formula for success will work, but rather whether the person will work the formula. So it doesn't, the formula is pretty consistent throughout society, so it's pretty consistent with every single person. We all have the abilities to do similar things as far as action steps that we can take on a basic level, but the fact of the matter is people will choose to do those action steps and put a bunch of effort in to achieve their goals, or they won't. So it is a matter of choice, and no dream is impossible provided we first have the courage to believe in it. Nothing was ever accomplished with somebody who said that's impossible. And if they said that's impossible, but I'm going to make it possible, that's what happened. So another thing about results that you want to do and really focus on, and what Jim Rohn talks about, is you want to check your results often. And I talked a little bit about this and measuring your results and making sure that you focus on the positive parts of the results that you get, because when you stop to check your results, you can see a couple of things. You can see what changes you need to make. Maybe you're drifting a little further away from the end goal that you first, initially had set out to achieve, and you need to make some changes in those action steps. Or maybe you see that another thing you might notice is that you're doing the right things, but you just need to do them more often and to achieve the results that you want quicker. So checking your results often is really the key to that. And you don't want to neglect daily tasks that you can do because over time those add up. And that's where some failure comes in. And you can look back for a year from now and say, okay, if only, and maybe you set a goal for yourself that you want to buy a house, for example, and it's just in your imagination right now, but then all of a sudden you start taking action steps and you start saving money for the down payment, and you start actually looking at houses, and you go to a realtor and you start to go to housewarmings and actually go through some tours. And once you start taking those action steps, and I haven't gone and bought a house myself or even started the process of that yet, so I've heard that it's a lot more work and a lot more exhausting than you initially think, because when you watch TV, for example, like the House Hunters show on HGTV, and they make it seem like, oh, you get three choices of your dream houses and you get to pick between the three, and then that's it, and it's closed, and in a half an hour's time you see this couple or an individual maybe buying a house, and it doesn't work like that. So realistically, it'd probably take a year or maybe even more. So if you look back a year from now and say, well, I had a dream of buying a house a year ago, what action steps did I take? If you took none, you're going to be in the same position you were a year ago. But if you start taking action today, you're going to get to your goal a lot faster. So my point is to, check those results often and to make adjustments as you go, because once you have the dream in mind, you just got to put it on paper and start taking action towards it, because otherwise it's just going to still be a dream in your head and a wish in your mind, basically. This was a point that I think I already touched on, but I'll go over it again. So whatever happens to us all. The only difference is our approach to the things that happen. So you probably have heard the saying, life is about 90% or 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond to it. So it doesn't matter what happens to us. We all go through different challenges, and a lot of them are similar challenges that some people who look at a successful figure in their lives, or somebody who's already succeeded at something that they want to achieve, and you say, well, of course they're successful in that area, they're blank. or that, they didn't go through this challenge that I'm going through. And the reality is they probably went through the exact same challenge you're going through right now. They just found a way to overcome it and push forward. And that's all you really need to do too. So results don't respond to need, which I thought was kind of fascinating, because a lot of times, okay, I need more money, but the result of getting more money doesn't happen based on just that need. It's based on the effort that you put in, the labor, and the activity, which is the whole point of the last chapter was the activity that you put in, which leads to the results that you get. I only have a couple more points, Josh. Do you have anything to add? I know that you kind of cut out before again, but I don't know if you have anything to add about that 10%. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. If you can think of anything that you want to jump in and add.
That I can think of. I don't know if I'm a little bit behind you here, just because the my video has been still a little bit off and kind of been back and forth, cutting out. But
Yeah.
I don't know if there's so much that I had to add in that section. I'm looking at the wrong chapter. That's why I'm getting all confuzzled. I would do it, right?
No worries if you can't think of anything yet, or if you can't find anything right away, because I know you've been in and out of connection and your video, you said, is behind. So if you can't think of anything right now, that's totally fine. I can move on. And then at the end, if you had anything else to add, we can stop again and see if you have anything else. But these last couple points, I highlighted this quote: sometimes the best prescription for a poor attitude is activity. And I talked a little bit about failing fast and getting, doing action steps, even if they might be the wrong action steps because you just don't know what to do yet, is so important, because, this is another quote that he actually quoted somebody else. I don't know who it is that he quoted, but he said, it's a popular phrase, I guess: weak is he that permits his attitude to control his actions, and strong is he who forces his actions to control his thoughts. So our minds cannot tell the difference between doing something and thinking about doing something. So when we actually do something, we are able to, be more in control of our thoughts in relation to that action. Because if we just think about the action and we imagine all the different results that could happen, we're never really going to know what's going to happen, and nothing ever will happen until we actually take action and do those action steps. So it's so important to sometimes just get out of your head and just do it, and just take the action that you need to take, because that's really the only way that you're going to get results, to be able to analyze and to be able to move forward and achieve the goal that you want to achieve. We face two choices in life. This is the last page before I close up, final remarks here. As we face, the first choice is to be less than we have the capacity to be, to earn less, to have less, to read less, to think less, to try less, and to discipline ourselves less. And those choices lead to an empty life, and you don't feel the sense of fulfillment that you have when you make the opposite choice and you actually go after your dreams. The second choice is to do it all, to become all that we can possibly be, to read every book that we possibly can, to learn as much as we possibly can, so we're able to add value to other people's lives, to give and share as much as we possibly can, to strive and produce and accomplish as much as we possibly can. And all of that is a choice. You have a choice. Every moment that you're faced with, you have a choice, and you can choose to become the best version of yourself and to push towards your goals, or you can just make a choice to not do that. So we're definitely part of a group of people who makes the choice to be the best version of ourselves and to accomplish our goals, which is one of the things that I love about our group, for sure. And the greatest rewards are always reserved for those who bring great value to themselves and the world around them as a result of who and what they have become. So if you're somebody who has a dream of somehow changing the world and impacting people's lives in a really major positive way, then you just got to start with yourself and make that change in your own life first, because that's really the only way that you'll get to impact other people's lives. And you can just really only impact one person at a time, and you got to start with you. So that is, I can go jump to closing remarks after this, Josh, but I know you have your microphone off. Do you have any other closing remarks that you'd like to add before we hop off?
Yeah, it's funny because one of the things that I say all the time, well, I haven't said it all the time, but I've said it in the past, is if you're ever confused, fight that confusion with action. It doesn't really matter, as you said before, it doesn't really matter if it ends up being the wrong action. If it's the wrong action, you can figure it out after you take it. You can't you can't figure out what to do by doing nothing,
Right.
essentially. So
Yeah. I love that. If you're ever in a um, mind state where you're questioning, what should I do, or where should I go from here? You just got to take action and figure it out along the way. A lot of times people set out to accomplish a huge dream. They don't really know how they're going to do it, but they know that they're going to do it, and the how just eventually they attract it to themselves because of how passionate they are, and they just start taking action, and different opportunities arise when you take action steps. So it's so important to go after what you want now, because you never know what tomorrow brings. You never know if you're going to get it tomorrow, so you might as well make today count. And I know I shared this before, setting your daily intentions and journaling how you want your day to go the next day, or the morning of the day when you wake up. And um, if you're watching this and you want to join our Live the Movie crew and be a part of an awesome group, and it's more than just me and Josh, I promise. It's definitely something that you can reach out to one of us about. Chances are, if you're watching this too, you were probably sent here by one of us on the screen, or another one of our leaders of our crew. So if you have questions, reach out to us for sure. We'd love to have you be a part of our group. We're definitely in it for the long haul. I think one of the big things about our group is that, we all kind of complement each other in a great way, and we hold each other accountable, because we don't have the same exact goals. Like, I don't have the same goal that Josh has, and we don't have the same goal that Eric has. We all have different goals in different areas of our life, but sometimes all it really takes is somebody else to, kind of hold you accountable for that, and to believe in you before you really truly believe in yourself 100%. So sometimes you just gotta fake it till you make it, and we're here to help get you to that point faster than not. So join us. We'd love to have you. Next week, join us for sure. Monday night, 6 o'clock. We're going to go over the final 2 chapters of this book. I'm so excited. And like I said before, it's good to review these things more than just once. So go back to the other videos about the first 4 chapters, or the first 3 chapters in the introduction that we went over already, because the more that you review those things, the better chances are that you're going to implement them and actually gain some benefits from them. So I'm excited. It looks like Josh froze again, but we will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. And as always, live the movie. Bye, guys. Bye,
the
Josh.
movie.